Yo, this is Blockade Australia, beaming to you live from Ecological and Warramah land for the second time today. My name's Jarrah, and I am locked inside a reinforced car, and I have my arm in a hole in the ground, and this car is immobilised over the railway line in Mobilisation, or so-called Newcastle. This rail line is leading into the world's largest coal port, which was blocked early this morning by Zoe in another Blockade Australia action. And yeah, sorry, I apologise for my hand tremor in advance. It's a bit hard for me to hold the phone, but I can show you around the car. So this is the car lying on a bit of a dodgy foam mattress here. Steel bars over the windows. Steel bars over these windows here. Steel bars over the window behind me. And yeah, my arm's locked into a metal pipe in a concrete hole in the ground. So I'm taking this action because Australia's leading role in the climate crisis is being held up by a rigged political system. Direct action like this, like Zoe took this morning and Wilcar took yesterday with the tripod, is necessary because all avenues for change within this rigged system of Australia lead to the same end, which is death and destruction. That's why we need to put ourselves in these risky positions. Like this one, there is quite a bit of risk. I am a bit scared and a bit nervous. You can probably hear it in my voice, but I think it's necessary. Material disruption to Australia's destructive operations is the way we get out of this crisis. Yeah. Sorry, quick shout out to my mum who just started watching. Sorry, I haven't called Hamish yet, my brother. It's his birthday. Tell him I said happy birthday. Thank you. Yeah, so if you're just starting watching, this is another Blockade Australia action. We're taking action on the stolen land of the Ecological and Warramah people who cared for this area for thousands and thousands of years, thousands of generations, in fact. Their sovereignty was never ceded. This land was stolen from them. And I would like to pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. A First Nations man yesterday, Wilcar Karakuda, a Niimba and Wangan and Jungalingu man, blockaded the coal port for Blockade Australia's first ever action for 4 hours. He stood in solidarity with the mob here, and I'm standing in solidarity by doing this as well. So yeah, I'm inside this reinforced car, which has been immobilised over the rail tracks. All the trains are stopped, they're safely stopped. In fact, if I could get up and see out my window, I would be able to see one 100 or so meters away. But yeah, so this rail line leads into Kooragang Terminal Coal Port, goes across a rail bridge which was blocked this morning by Zoe, and goes into two coal ports. Those coal ports are the largest export. That's the largest thermal coal export port in the world. So this is one of the most important points in the global supply chain of fossil fuels, which is why we're blockading it. Coal's obviously shit, and we all want to see an end to coal, but Blockade Australia is not a campaign about ending coal. It is a campaign about confronting the system of Australia. And when I say Australia, I don't mean the everyday people, the majority of people on this continent who are living under an exploitative system. I'm talking about the institutions, the political, economic, social, educational institutions who have overseen this colonial project since colonisation began a few hundred years ago. Those are the people who, for so long, have served only the few. They've served the elites, while the rest of the people on this continent, First Nations people, suffered genocide. Everybody else suffered exploitation or some form of violence. Sounds like the police are here. Sorry. Yeah, so I'm here to try and put a stop to that. Obviously, this action itself is not going to put a stop to that, but more actions like this, hundreds, thousands of them could. All we need is people to take this kind of risk, put themselves in a position where you might feel vulnerable, but you'll also feel powerful. It feels pretty powerful to lock down a whole rail network by yourself. Cool. So, sorry, I'm just trying to listen for the police, but I'll keep speaking. So yeah, obviously the climate and ecological crisis is a huge problem. You'd have to be living under a rock if you didn't know about it, and if you didn't know about the severe consequences it poses. But we often talk about the fact that Australia has known for decades the consequences of their actions, and I don't know what exactly we do with that information. I feel like so often we in the climate movement ask politicians to listen to us in the hopes that despite knowing for decades what the consequences for their actions are, have still continued to destroy the world around us. We hope that they'll listen to us and just one day decide to change their ways like that and create a livable and fair future. I don't think that's going to happen. I think if that was going to happen, it would have already. I think that Australia, corporate Australia, political Australia is going to continue to protect the profits of dying industries, and they'll continue to block meaningful climate action. And the only way we're going to stop them is by building grassroots power through direct action. We need to build power outside of the current political system. All avenues within it lead to death and destruction. It's too slow, it's too bureaucratic, it's rigged. It's rigged so that the same variations of the same two parties have been in power since Federation. It's not going to change in the next 4 years. And that's the kind of time frame we need to act on. So the fastest way to create the kind of political change necessary is going to be by coming together and taking direct action in our workplaces, on the streets, at important pinch points, like the world's largest coal port, which we're here blockading now. My name's Jarrah. I'm in here inside this reinforced car. Got some cage, metal bars all around it, a metal screen on the back. The car's been immobilized over the rail tracks which are leading into the world's largest coal port in Mobilisation, so-called Newcastle. And this is the second Blockade Australia action of the day. Zoe shut down the rail network leading into the port for about 4 hours this morning, and she still might be up there, I don't know. But yeah, hopefully we're going to continue to block it long into the afternoon and the evening. Someone in the comments said Mad Max. Yeah, it does feel a bit mad to be in here.
Take a picture of that, the flag as well.
You should see the paint job on the outside. It looks beautiful. Oh, sounds like a couple of workers have arrived. They have spotted me. I feel like I'm in a bit of a vulnerable position here, but it's a risk I'm willing to take. I believe, risks like this, taking strategic direct action, sustained direct action at places of economic and political importance to the Australian state is the way we're going to create political change. They're not going to listen to petitions. We don't have enough resources to compete with the fossil fuel industry when it comes to lobbying, and clearly our votes haven't been working. We need to come together and take action like this. It's how we build grassroots power from the bottom up. Anybody can do this. It's much easier than becoming a politician. You just need to find some people who are willing to do it with you and start taking action. It's not that hard to think of places that can be blocked like this. Yeah, so something mentioned in the description of this live stream, which I think is really important and not something that gets given enough time. I feel like only in the last couple of years have we really started to talk about it as a movement, but the climate and ecological crisis isn't just it's not just a like thing that's concerned with like graphs and abstract future consequences, you know, what insurance policies, oh no, not going to be able to get insurance in my house by the beach. It's a crisis that already has real world impacts on humanity's social systems. It has real social impacts. Ecosystem collapse will lead to social system collapse, and that's going to affect the most vulnerable communities of today the fastest. It's already affecting places. The disasters around the world are piling on top of each other, and that kind of thing leads to resource shortages. It leads to displacement, and that can lead to all kinds of geopolitical problems. It's definitely not the fault of the people who are displaced or who do suffer the resource shortages. It's the fault of states like Australia, who instead of taking meaningful climate action, they beat the drum of war and they tighten their borders and they find ways to protect their illegitimate sovereignty and the profits of dying industries first. That's their solution to the climate crisis, protecting themselves and protecting their cronies through war, tightened borders, and austerity. The only way we're going to change that is by coming together and taking direct action like this, coming out onto the streets in mass numbers, and mobilising the most important places on this continent, like Sydney, the economic capital of this continent, where we will be in June 2022. It feels like a long way away, but something like that, you know, when we come out onto the streets in June next year, we want to come out in big numbers and we want to do highly disruptive actions. We're not going to march from point A to B. We're going to stay on the streets and we're going to immobilise Sydney and immobilise the flow of capital through that city. And something like that is not an easy undertaking. So, looks like a cop's peering in.
Hello, mate. What's your name, buddy?
Hey man, how you going?
What's your name, mate?
Hey?
Sorry?
Jarrah.
Jared?
Jarrah.
Jarrah.
Mate, I'll just let you know now I'm wearing body-worn video camera, which is recording your conversation and your actions, okay?
Yep, so they're recording my conversation and my actions. I guess it's good that they got their body camera on, you know, recording themselves as well. We know like police like to do dodgy things, so feel a bit safer about that, to be honest. I don't have to, well, I should film them myself, but I am live streaming. Yeah, so if you're just tuning in, this is another Blockade Australia action. I'm here in what appears to be a reinforced car, and conveniently I found a hole in the ground when I found this car parked over the railway line.
Did you see his hand?
I see his arm.
Oh, someone's tickling my arm.
Just going into the ballast?
No, it's actually quiet, but with a Probably just holding on to something.
He's locked on a line.
They're figuring out that my arm is connected to a pipe in the ground. So there's just a lot of people staring into the sky right now. Thank you for all the nice comments, by the way, everyone. I really appreciate it. It's a bit nerve-wracking being in here and having police touch my arms while I can't see them. So yeah, if you're just tuning in, this is Blockade Australia. I'm inside a reinforced car over a hole in the ground. My arm's locked onto that hole. This is over the rail tracks leading into the world's largest coal port in Mobilisation, Newcastle. I'm here taking direct action because it's necessary. The political system we live under is rigged. It's creating ecosystem collapse. It's creating social collapse, not just here, but globally. Vulnerable communities around the world are suffering first and worst. And I'm standing in solidarity with anyone who's facing the effects of the climate crisis right now by blocking this important pinch point in the global supply of fossil fuels. Strategic direct action at pinch points like this allows us to maximize our resources, which are much limited compared to the global elites, the politicians, the corporations. We need to maximize our resources and think carefully about how we use them, which is what I'm doing today. One car, one person, and I've blocked the world's largest coal port. Thanks for the breathing advice, Lorian. I appreciate it. Need to remember it. Police playing around with the car. Can you not shake that? My arm's locked into a position. I can't move it.
Just let go, buddy. Suppose grab a grinder and start.
Sounds like they're going to have a grinder and start cutting into the car. Imagine if I left the door open. That'd be pretty funny. Should have reinforced that a bit harder.
What's your name, mate?
Already gave it to someone.
Yeah, I didn't hear it, mate. I just got here.
Cool. So, this is a Blockade Australia action. I'm here on the rail line in Mobilisation, Newcastle. It leads into the world's largest coal port, the largest and most important pinch point in the global supply of coal and fossil fuels. All the trains are stopped. They can't get in, they can't get out. yeah, I'm taking this action as a response to Australia's continual blocking of meaningful climate action. They don't just block climate action, they organise the destruction of this planet. And when I'm talking about Australia, I'm talking about the institutions, like the political, social, economic institutions that have overseen this whole colonial project since colonisation began in this area. Going around the city of Newcastle, it's a very old city. It's clear that this was one of the first places to be colonised, and yeah, it feels quite powerful to be here taking action on this
Oh, your live
today.
stream. I'm just going to talk to you, all right? My name's Chief Inspector Mears at Newcastle Police. All right, your presence here is causing a serious risk to your safety and safety of others. As such, it is unsafe to continue for the train line to continue its business. Do you understand that? All right. Do you understand that you're currently interrupting the business operations of ARTC, the train company? All right. Do you understand that interruption of their operations is causing the company a major financial loss? Do you understand that?
I'm not saying anything.
Okay. All right, well, I know you can hear me at least. Thank you for that. Do you have a name, mate? Do I call you by just the first name? Right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask you to leave the site. Are you prepared to do that? You're not prepared to leave the site? Right, I must warn you that if you don't leave the site, you are committing an offence and you may be arrested. Do you understand that? Alright. So what I'm going to do now is I'll get one of the railway company people to come over and they're going to talk to you quickly as well. Ask you to leave the site. If you refuse to do that, they'll ask for police to assist them in you being removed from the site. Do you understand that? Right, once you're removed from the site, you'll be... once you leave the site, you'll be searched and arrested. Do you understand that?
Not until we ascertain.
Okay, so the police have done their bit. I'm going to stay here till they get me out. They're asking for my name, but I don't really feel like talking to them right now. Gave my name to one of them. If they want to know, they can ask him. So yeah, if you're just tuning in, this is another Blockade Australia action. Yesterday, Wilkar Karakuda, kicked off the Blockade Australia movement by erecting a 9-metre tripod over the rail lines leading into the coal port.
Probably even get it over it.
He blockaded the coal port for 4 to 5 hours, causing major disruption. This morning, Zoe did an amazing action, climbed the electrical pylon, and there was a monopole erected, which was tied to the tracks and tied to Zoe's tree set. She blockaded the coal port for 4 or so hours as well, and now I'm here inside a reinforced car and locked into a hole in the ground.
We're just going to talk. The railway company's just going to talk to you, mate. We're going to be.
I'm Jason. I'm the area manager at Port Waratah. At present, your presence here is causing serious risk to your own safety and that of others. As such, it's unsafe for us to continue with our business activity while you're in this location. You understand by interrupting the operations, you may be causing the company a financial loss, and as the representative, I'm formally requesting you leave the premises. If you fail to do so, I may ask the police for assistance. Do you understand that?
No comment.
Right. Jason has just read that to you, and you've made the reply. I know you understand and you've heard us. Jason has asked me, as a representative of New South Wales Police, to help him to remove you. Do you understand that? All right. I'm going to ask you one more time. All right. I've just heard Jason from ARTC, who has asked you to leave the site. You understand that?
No comment.
That your presence here is causing a serious risk to the safety of others.
No comment.
Again, you said no comment. You understand that you're
no comment
of ARTC. Again, you've said no comment. Thank you. I'm requesting that you leave the for your own safety. You leave this area by the safest route.
No comment.
You're not prepared to do that. All right. And again, I know that you would say the comment. No reply. No comment. All right. I'm now going to hand over to the police rescue squad, and you'll be removed from the site. Do you understand that?
So if you check the pinned message on the live stream, you can see that there's a few links to the Sydney event, as well as the Telegram channel, our fundraiser, as well as our purpose statement, which is on our website.
Just for our
If you're watching, it would be great to check all of those things out.
Have you had your double vaccination?
Yeah.
Yeah, double vaccination, and you haven't got COVID at the moment?
No.
Excellent, thank you.
So they're going to hand me over to the police rescue. Apparently, police rescue are going to get me out. Let's see how they do that. I've actually got no idea. So. So yeah, this is Blockade Australia action. Sorry, it's a bit hectic. It's a bit hard to speak, but I'm over the rail line in an immobilised car. It had some reinforcement on it. It's been ripped off now, unfortunately. Looks like they're coming in the driver's side, back door. They're trying to open the door. Don't know why they can't.
Alright, game's over.